Good afternoon. Boy, it's a good thing I'm wearing this microphone. It drowns out the sound of the neighbors upstairs at 8 o'clock in the morning, even before 8 o'clock in the morning, banging furniture around, vacuuming, slamming closet doors. I mean, what the hell? I mean, I'm an early bird. Lucky for me, I'm up early. Well, today I got up late, 6:39. Wow, for me, that's late. But good morning. Hello, Outdoor. How are things? Well, Outdoor, giving you a laugh right away. Like I said, upstairs neighbors, unbelievable, unreal. So, just thought I would come on here and see what's going on. Yep, you get you. I get you. So, the sun is out this morning. Let's see how what kind of day we have. Harold, I did not get Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I just noticed a comment from you that I didn't answer yet on my movie channel, I think, saying, about the movies that I want. You said, whatever it was, like Spector, I think you said, well, you could order it on eBay. Yeah, I realize that. The idea was, though, I like to, rather than wait for it, I mean, I just got the Waltons season 1 and 2 through Amazon. It took a month for it to get here. You know, I mean, I like to go into a store. There it is. Pick it up, go home, and watch it that evening. I know there's other ways of getting it. I'm saying, I just what do I think of the likelihood of a 50th edition of All Things Must Pass? It's more than a likelihood by now. It actually has been said it's going to come out. It's been confirmed pretty much by the Harrison estate that they're going to get a 50th anniversary All Things Must Pass. Uh, they actually have said that. The thing is, we just don't know when or how because of this pandemic that we have going on now. So other than that, we should get it, but let's hope it comes to pass. You know. I don't know what 170 pounds is. I'm bad with that. I'm bad when it comes to British money. How much you have to translate American uh, dollars. No, that's way too much money. When you say the McCartney Archive Collection, you're talking about for the first album, McCartney, the one that came out. Well, the thing is, there are some of those archive collection deluxe sets that are out of print. So some of them may be like $300. It depends if. Let's put it this way: it depends if you want to pay it or not. 211. It's still a lot of money. It depends what it's worth to you. Me personally, if I didn't have that yet, I wouldn't want to go more than $100 myself. Even $100 is a lot, but because I think it's out of print, the first one. Well, that's not the first one, but I mean the McCartney first solo album, uh, archive edition. So there are some that are out of print. As far as the Flaming Star review, yeah, I got to get to that, Harold. As I think I might have told you, I've seen all the Elvis movies before. The good thing is when I'm doing these Elvis reviews, I'm not revisiting the movies now. I'm not watching them again. I have them already written down in a database, so I'm able to just check my database and I'm able to come up with it. You know. Well, do I think Flaming Star is Elvis's best movie? I'll let you know when I do the review. But as I said, I'm not getting very good hits on those reviews. I'm not going to stop doing the Elvis reviews, but I just have. I said I was going to do them all, so I'll do them. I'm not going to stop doing them, but I have less excitement and urgency to do them because, other than a very few people, nobody seems interested. But I'll still try to get them all done for those who are interested. You know. Jeff, hello. Jeff watched Paul's concert in Austin, Texas. His voice seemed to struggle at the start, but better at the end. Okay. Yeah, that's what happens a lot of times. Sometimes he can have difficult moments and then get better, you know. Ah, Harold is part Native American, and so Elvis plays that part. Harold is part. I don't want to spoil what I thought of the movie or Elvis's performance or anything, so I want to save it. I'll try to get it done within these maybe today, today or the next few days before the week is out. Let's say I'll try to do it before the week is out, for the what by the weekend. And I usually put the Elvis reviews here on this channel because, being that Elvis is a music artist, even though Flaming Star, of course, is not a music movie, but I usually put them here because it's Elvis, the movie. But I also put them on my Mayo's Movies channel too. So I would really appreciate if you supported both. If you could go over, leave a comment on the Mayo's Movies channel, maybe copy the comment here. I'd appreciate it. Back at work. Well, yes and no. Yesterday I returned to work, Martin Norris, but I did have a problem. I had a setback. Nothing. Again, it's not to do with coronavirus or anything like that. So I pretty much just finished the day, but then I had a health related issue. Nothing. Again, nothing major, nothing serious, but very annoying. So as a result, I had to leave right before my end tour, so to speak. And here I am. More time with the Waltons. Well, my girlfriend and I have really been enjoying the show. I mean, these episodes are pretty much new to both of us. Even though we were around when the Waltons was a hit TV show, we didn't really watch. I'd watch it sometimes, but I don't know episodes like well. You know, so these are all kind of fresh experiences for us, and we're really enjoying it because I mean, some people like to make fun of things like that. The Waltons, Little House on the Prairie, the Brady Bunch, these wholesome shows. They bring back a feeling of innocence and family togetherness that's really lacking in the world today and for a long time. And I think that maybe because of this pandemic, if there's anything good that can come of it, maybe the fact that we'll all start getting to be more family oriented and closer with each other, maybe that is something we can take from it. But I would rather us get back to normalcy. I don't want to stay in this pandemic indefinitely in order to get that family values back. The Waltons is well acted, very well written, good characters. I mean, everything you need, you know, and a feel good. The end of just about at the end of just about every episode, you feel good. You go home happy. Nothing wrong with that. The Lord knows we have enough misery. Some of you may notice that as I'm drinking water here, you may notice I don't have my patented green cup. I have my Ringo Starr White Album Beatles glass. Yep. And that's because I did a Talk More Talk episode live last night, and the subject was Ringo's 1978 television show, the television special he did, commonly referred to as Ogner Rats. So it's Ringo Starr backwards. It's not up on YouTube yet. It won't be for a while, but keep checking the Talk More Talk channel here on YouTube, and you'll be able to see it at some point. Hello, George. No, I haven't seen Spectre yet. And I'll tell you, George, I'm in no rush to see it. That's why I never saw it in the movie theater. My nephew went to see it, and I love my nephew. He's a young guy. Uh, I don't always use him as the best judge of movies, but he did tell me he didn't like Spectre. He saw it, but there was nothing much. And lately, I've been watching a lot of James Bond oriented YouTube channels and reviews and things, and the consensus is Spectre is one of the worst of the Bond movies. So I'm not really, that uh, fanatical about seeing it anytime soon. That's why I waited about 5 years. I'm in no rush. As a matter of fact, I'm in a point now where I'm watching the James Bond movies in order. And the next one to rewatch is The Spy Who Loved Me, which is one of my very favorite movies. First Bond movie I ever saw was The Spy Who Loved Me. Uh, there's another guy, a very young guy, Calvin somebody, I think, James Bond. I can't believe there's so many Bond channels, but I guess Bond is a huge topic, just like the Beatles are a huge topic, so I could see that. But yeah, so I'm up to The Spy Who Loved Me, which is one of my all-time favorite Bond movies. The first Bond I ever saw in my life was The Spy Who Loved Me. I saw it in the movie theater several times as a child or as a young teenager. 15-year-old child. Yeah, Calvin Dyson. He's a lot of fun. I've been watching a lot of Bond stuff lately, and there's some really nice-looking woman named Athena who they did some kind of a ultimate Bond cast or something where they kind of had 5 people or so, and they all gave their average for each movie. They all rated their films from least favorite to most favorite. Yeah. Sorry. This is how it is. Allergies, gunky throat. So yeah, I really don't like On Her Majesty's Secret Service. I am in a distinct minority in the Bond universe. I do not like that movie. Uh, Practically nothing I like about it, except the fist fight scenes are well staged, and I think George Lazenby can handle himself well in the fist fights. But I think a subject like that should have been tackled by Sean Connery. I think Sean Connery's Bond would have been way more interesting, a love story. To see the change in the character's arc. We've come to know Sean Connery for 4 films. It would be great to see his James Bond now face this love. Uh, words fail me. This love compulsion. I don't know. It's love surrender. Love. Okay. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's true, George. Connery was kind of finished with Bond, really, in his mind, and he might have been just phoning it in with On Her Majesty's Secret Service. I just wonder if the subject might have intrigued him a little more. I don't know. As an actor, I wonder if he would have tried a better, better because the material was more interesting. I don't know. Hello, Cherry Carter. How are you? Watch Japanese original film. Godzilla original was the best. Do I agree? Well, yeah. I mean, it depends. Obviously, the first Godzilla you're talking about, I assume you're talking about, yeah, the Japanese one, Gojira. Yeah, I definitely think that was the best in terms of seriousness. Getting a serious Godzilla that just wants to devastate Tokyo. Yeah, very, very good movie. Yeah, but I mean, some of my personal favorites, like a King Kong versus Godzilla, is my favorite, mainly because I saw it as a child so much, and it's a lot of fun. But yeah, as far as serious cinema goes, serious piece of cinema, the original Gojira, definitely the best in that regard. Yeah, a lot of people say that. A lot of people say that You Only Live Twice should have come after On Her Majesty's Secret Service. I hear that a lot, George. That's not an idea, but um, that's another thing. I couldn't say about Diamonds Are Forever. Diamonds Are Forever should have been a revenge film where he spends the whole film trying to avenge Tracy and kill Blofeld the whole movie. But that's another story. But a lot of fans try to like think of those backwards. But and I still say, as a James Bond viewer, one of the biggest problems with that series is that the character of Blofeld is never well realized. I don't think they have too many different actors playing Blofeld, and I always say that none of the actors live up to that very first impression we have of Blofeld, the man hidden in shadows. What does he look like? Who is he? With the cat, all you see is him stroking the cat. You don't see him; you just hear his voice. His voice sounds very menacing. Then we get. I'm sorry, but I don't like Donald Pleasance as Blofeld. I don't like Telly Savalas as Blofeld, and I do not like Charles Gray as Blofeld. I don't think any of them seem anything like Blofeld from the Silhouettes and the Mysterious One. The Mysterious Voice does not sound to be any of those three actors. The one that I like, the actor who I think comes closest, two actors I think came closer to matching the expectation of Blofeld to me, based on how we heard his voice. First one would be Max von Sydow, who was in Never Say Never Again. He seems more like a Blofeld that could fit that voice. And also, even more importantly, Curt Jurgens. Curt Jurgens was Stromberg, the bad guy from The Spy Who Loved Me. Now, I think he looked and sounded like the Blofeld that we hear. When you say Brenner, you mean Yul Brenner? That's a good idea. You know, uh, Blofeld doesn't he just have the cameo? Am I wrong about that? He's in the cameo of For Your Eyes Only. I'm not a Doctor Who fan. Never seen Doctor Who. Never. I hear a lot of good things from people who are fans, but they just didn't know what they want to do. One minute he's bald, next minute he has hair. Blofeld. Next minute he's bald again. Next minute he has a scar on his eye. Next minute the scar is gone. Next minute he's Christoph Waltz. Next minute he's Telly Savalas. I don't understand why they couldn't get. It's ridiculous. I mean, look. First of all, I haven't seen Spectre, but I'll tell you this much: Christoph Waltz was an actor I really loved in the Tarantino movies. You know, I thought he was fantastic in Django Unchained. I love that performance. I also love him in Inglorious Bastards. But from what I hear, he was a very poor and weak Blofeld Spectre. Yeah, right. There was no video. It's true. There was no home video back then, so they didn't care. They couldn't really get the continuity. Yeah, I get that, but it was especially true of that in the early movies, like the old horror movies, the 30s and the 40s. You know, the horror movies. A lot of fans say, "Well, why did they do this? Why did they do that? They broke continuity." You know, in the old Universal horror films. But like you say, there was no home video. There was no television. People can't think about that back to the 30s and 40s. When you put out Frankenstein and then Bride of Frankenstein and Son of Frankenstein and Ghost of Frankenstein, there was no television. There was no home video. It would be years before another movie would come on. Nobody'd remember anything. Yes, Oliver. Yes, bringing it back to McCartney and Ringo. There's an unheard demo by the former Beatles up for auction. Yes, a song called "Angel in Disguise." Yes, I heard about that. Did I like Get Smart? Actually, no. I thought Barbara Feldon was cute. But other than that, I didn't really, never got into Get Smart. As a kid, I liked the introduction scene. I mean, the credit sequence. That's all. I used to stick around for the credit sequence. I thought it was so cool. The doors opening up, the secret doors. As a kid, that's all I really cared about. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Um, I've only seen it once or twice. Um, I think it was. I enjoyed it. I think it's a fun horror movie. I think well, a lot of fans would agree. I think it suffers because a lot of people get hung up on the fact that it was called Halloween 3 and there was no Michael Myers in it. They should have called it just Season of the Witch or Halloween Season of the Witch or something without the number 3, because people don't realize, they thought Michael Myers was finished. They did Michael Myers in the first two films, and then they were going to like kill him off, and that was the end of it. And they decided what they would try to do is a different Halloween theme every season, a different themed scary movie for the Halloween season. So Halloween 3 Season of the Witch was going to be first. And the title throws a lot of people off. I think it's a good Halloween horror movie. Um, it's been a long time since I've seen it, but I remember with the masks and the commercial with the shamrock thing. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not nothing great, the movie, but the Wicker Man. The original one I'm talking about, the first one with Christopher Lee, I liked, and I only saw that movie once. I mean, that's considered a classic, and I've only seen it once. Don't remember it. Don't remember it. The only thing I remember is that I did like it, but I didn't see the remake. Yeah, the Halloween series, I enjoy some. sequels more than others. The problem with the Halloween series is that they completely went off the deep end and did so many different storylines. They didn't know which way they want to go. So that's the problem with the Halloween series. You just have to take it for what it is. Um, yeah, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre series, I don't like it. You talk about they should have stopped after the first three. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, in my opinion, never should have had anything but the first movie. Texas Chainsaw Massacre works wonderfully. The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre with Tobe Hooper from '74 is one of the absolute most unsettling, disturbing, terrifying horror films of all time. It did not need a sequel. I really hate Texas Chainsaw 2. I don't know how many people know that. A lot of people like it. I do not like stupid movies like that. Uh, and I do not like Texas 2. Leatherface 3, I saw it in the movie theater in edited form, and it was incomprehensible. Uh, Texas Chainsaw, they did remakes. I never saw any of the remakes. Texas Chainsaw Massacre should have been the first movie. One incident, one sick family going crazy, one time. I think it's more effective as a standalone film instead of a series. As far as Friday the 13th goes, I love the Friday the 13th series. I mean, that's my personal favorite, uh, guilty pleasure, if you will. I love Jason. I love Friday the 13th. I really feel bad that they didn't continue the Friday the 13th films. Um, the 2009 reboot wasn't bad, but I really wish they would just make new continuations of the original. You know. Hello, Simon. Thanks for hanging out. Uh, yeah, the next generation. I saw that. I remember that being silly. I heard that the remakes are good, but why don't well, nah. But I don't want to see them. I don't want to. I don't want to like affect the original for me. And even though the remakes are very good or the reboots, whatnot, I heard that at least one of them takes place in 1970s. It's like a period piece, so the 70s. Uh, yeah, Friday the 13th, 7 and 8 to me are kind of weak. Part 7 of Friday the 13th is weak, The New Blood, mostly because in that particular one, it was heavily edited. You know, they really, I forget things as I get older. What's the name of it? The MPAA, Motion Picture Association of America, really destroyed the director's vision. And eight's fun. Jason Takes Manhattan, but it's weak. Yes, Jason, I have seen Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. That's a very effective movie too. Probably the sickest scene of all is the home invasion scene of Henry. The remake and the beginning in the '70s, and the beginning is a prequel. There's a prequel. Well, that's at least they try a prequel idea. But like I said, the first time I ever saw the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I had seen it. I rented it on a videotape, and the quality was poor. And when you watch this, you felt like you were watching an actual home movie of some sick, depraved, nutty family. Like you were watching an actual film that they filmed, that they recorded themselves. And to watch that made you feel like you dirty and violated, like it was a real documentary or something that really happened. And I think it worked as that. But when you redo it and revisit that territory over and over again, I think it takes something away. And when you make it a comedy, which they did in the first sequel, forget it. You make the characters out to be too jokey. Good morning. I'm glad you like the Beatles monthly videos. I'll do some more whenever I get a chance. Um, yeah, Jason X to me is the worst of the Jason movies. Jason X, I don't like that much. I mean, I still watch it. They have that great scene with the liquid nitrogen, where Jason puts the girl's face down into is it liquid nitrogen, and then raises it up, and it's all frozen, and then she cracks her face depart on a desk, which is like a really good horror scene. Um, Jason Goes to Hell. I accept it for what it is. I tried something different, and I tell you the truth. When I watch all the movies, if I ever watch all the movies in order, part one to through eight and so on. Once you get to part eight, you're about ready for a change, or I am anyway. I welcomed the change in Jason Goes to Hell. The scene where Leatherface hits the guy with the hammer and his body twitches. Yeah, that's really an unsettling scene. Yeah, yeah. Texas Chainsaw was shot on grainy stock, very low budget but effective. That's why also when they put it on Blu-ray and they try to like smooth it out a little too much, make it look too good, it loses something in my opinion. I actually prefer. I know people are going to think I'm crazy. Day of the Dead, Jason, is my favorite of the trilogy. Well, Night of the Living Dead is a classic. Dawn of the Dead, I'm in the minority. I really don't care for Dawn of the Dead. It's too comical for its own good in its places, and it's stupid. And the zombie makeups are really bad. Most of them are just, blue face, uh, paint, paint. Not really a lot of decay. But Day of the Dead, I really like Day of the Dead. I love the whole underground thing. There's something about Day of the Dead I really like. I like the music in it. I like everybody coming apart at the seams and hate, blaming each other and fighting with each other. I like that. I like the makeup. Last House on the Left. I caught that very late, and I don't see Last House on the Left to me is an overrated movie. I don't see it as being very terrifying by today's standards. I'm sure if you saw it in 1972, it would have been quite shocking, but by today's standards, not so much. I'm glad we're getting some movie talk in here, by the way. This is a lot of fun instead of just talking only about the Beatles or about music only. I'm glad people are coming over here to talk about movies. And by the way, we can talk about the Beatles too. We can go back and forth. I realize that Beatle fans are not going to be interested in talking about movies, and some movie fans may not want to talk about the Beatles, but we could go back and forth. Yeah, The Blob, an early fun movie. Yeah, Don't Go in the House. Yeah, I like that choke on him scene with Rhodes when he's getting devoured at the end. That's a great sequence. And I mean, he's a real bad guy, a good bad guy. Like he's a strong bad guy, Rhodes. Blood-sucking freaks. Yeah, a lot of these I forget the titles of which ones are which. Yeah, I love certain series of I like even stuff like the Hostels. There's three Hostel films. I like the Hostel films, and I also like the Saw movies. Which is kind of a surprise for my tastes. I like old black and white classics the best. Non-slashers. But speaking of David Hess, a movie that I really don't like is it Last House by the Park or something, 1980, something like about whatever that movie is. I hate that movie. House at the Edge of the Park. I don't know the name of it. Yeah, Pieces is kind of a bad movie. There's a funny scene in there where Susan St. George screams, "You bastard! You bastard!" It's like one of the funniest, stupid scenes you ever saw. Uh, Human Centipede, I don't know. David Hess, great talent. The movie Fright Night, I do enjoy. I usually don't like I said, silly, campy movies, but Fright Night was a good movie. A good, what I called at the time, a good modern day vampire movie. I don't like modern vampires, but that one was well done. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid is one of my all-time favorite movies, as is The Sting. They both happen to feature Newman and Redford, and they're definitely one of my favorite movies. I don't remember Don't Go in the House. Don't Look in the Basement. Don't go in the house. Don't answer the phone. Though I'm not familiar with Mad Max. Yeah, Scream and Shout Factory. Yeah, pretty amazing. And they put out a lot of older stuff that I like too. Yeah, I didn't see I never saw Butch and Sundance the later years, or was it the early years, or whatever it was. I didn't see that. Yeah, yeah. I remember Anchor Bay when Anchor Bay was first starting out. It was really a good way to get a lot of the Hammer horror films and certain movies. A lot of those discs turned out. I don't know about a lot of them, but some of them turned out to be faulty. After a while, they had disc rot and things. Some of them. The original Hills Have Eyes. That's a movie that I hadn't caught when it first came out. I caught it much later. By the time I got to it, it didn't really do much for me. I don't. It didn't really grab me. And the funny thing is, yeah, I remember seeing the remake of The Hills Have Eyes, and I hate remakes usually as a rule, for the most part. But I remember thinking the remake of Hills Have Eyes might have been a little better in this case. I don't really know, including a little bit that I saw the remake of Last House on the Left as well. I thought was a little better, maybe. I know it's sacrilege, and I very rarely will ever give a remake or reboot, the edge. Yeah, I saw some news report about that. Killer Hornets in Washington State. They said that they have stingers that are powerful enough that they're bigger than regular hornets. They're pretty big, and the stingers are powerful enough to penetrate bee suits. If you have bee special safety suits, they can penetrate those. I mean, come on, enough. Are we gonna get killer hornets around here? Like I said, this is really, really, really science fiction time, folks. 2020 sucks so bad, sucks so bad, and I had high hopes for 2020. I really did. I'm not an optimistic person when it comes to the world today. But I actually said, all right, I hated, the 90s sucked. The 2000s were even worse than the 90s, and the 2010s were even worse than the 2000s. I said, let's look forward to the 2020s. Let's be positive here. 2020, we'll start all over again. I was actually looking forward to 2020. Who knew there was going to be a science fiction pandemic, that plague? Who knew that? And now we got killer hornets going around. Yeah, right. What's next? A real Godzilla? That's going to be the next thing. We're going to have a real Godzilla stomping around, destroying buildings. Hey, but you know what I say? I mean, I'm an older guy. I mean, not old, but old. Older as opposed to younger. I lived my life. I had great times as a teen, in my 20s, 30s, 40s. So, and even 50s. Now, as I'm moving on to my 50s, okay. You know, I mean, I want to have a great time into my 60s and 70s and 80s and so on. But the best years I've had good. I feel sorry mostly for people today that are like, young, that are in there, that children. I see children sometimes out like riding their bikes or scooters or whatever they're doing. Would be taking walks with their mom and dad outside, and I think to myself, wow, these poor children, they have no future, no future. I feel sorry for anybody out there. I mean, sometimes you see, God forgive me, a pregnant woman, and I say, oh man, I hope by the time your child starts coming of age, that things are better for that kid. Because, man, it's like, never mind that they missed all the best entertainment, movies and music and TV, but, you know, now they can't even go out the door without a mask. So, yeah, high school grads this year, they'd have no prom, no graduation ceremony. It's sad. No, nothing. It's sad. Yes, a lot of people would disagree because we always get this. Was life in society better in the 60s and 70s, 80s? 1,000%, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. Depending on people's personal experiences out there, they may disagree, and that's fine. Also, don't forget the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the best of times. And that doesn't mean we didn't have Watergate. It doesn't mean we didn't have civil, problems. One of the better things about today is the fact that we have, people getting along better. You know, uh, Race relations are better today. That's a good thing. But yeah, and that's how I feel about it. That those were better times. Anybody who lived through those times, for the most part, has to say that things were better. Come on. And but hey, people, to each his own. Notice I say to each his own. I'm not gonna switch it and say to each their own, just to include the females. I mean, that's a saying, to each his own, including women. We call this mankind. This is mankind. I'm not going to call it man and womankind. That's the other thing. You used to be able to say what you wanted to say, and it wasn't. If people didn't like it, they could voice their opinion, but they weren't trying to destroy you. You know. I will say that life was better in 2019 also, and I never thought I'd say that, but now we're to a point where, anything is better, uh, anything is better than 2020. As bad as the 2010s were, and as bad as the 20th century started out with, first 20 years, it still was better than 2020 because of the fact that you didn't have the pandemic. Yeah, you can't win. If you hold the door open for a woman, they resent that. I could do it myself, but there was one time where, I instinctively hold doors open for women. I'm old fashioned like that. If I go into a store, so if I see a woman, I will hold the door open. Usually they'll say thank you. Usually they appreciate it. Most of them. Because I remember there was one time where I felt like Larry David from Curb Your Enthusiasm. There was one time where I was holding a door and I accidentally let it go or something. Didn't realize there was a woman coming, and she goes, "Boy, I guess chivalry's dead." She said under her skin. I want to say, "Why don't you shut up, you lady? I always hold doors open for women, but unbeknownst to you, I always do that. Just one time." You see, but this is the thing. Well, first of all, Cherry Carter, may I say, Cherry Carter says, "But we didn't have any internet." And as far as having no internet, as much as I like doing this, I've said before, I think the internet, if I had to find one reason what ruined the world in the 21st century, it's the internet. So as much as I enjoy doing this, there's good and bad to everything. I enjoy being able to meet up with all of you, but I think the internet has ruined our world. I think it's taken us away from a personal connection as far as in the flesh. Everybody does everything virtually. I, um, I think it's ruined families. So as much as I enjoy doing this channel, I would gladly give back all of it. If somebody could turn back the clock and we could go back to pre-internet, I would give all this sign on the dotted line tomorrow. Um, you know what I mean? But and you said we had some crappy little record player with crappy little speakers. Had to keep getting up, fiddling with the antenna for the TV. Hey, well, don't get me wrong. Uh, what do you call it? Electronics are better. Televisions, the quality of high definition TV sets is much better. No doubt about that. Um, I agree with you there, and stereo systems and all that. However, I would say that the music was better, the TV shows were better. So what would you rather have? Would you rather have current TV shows and music that are superior, played on lesser TV sets? We didn't know any different back then. Um, we didn't know any different back then. Right? The TV box was what it was with the antenna. We didn't know anything, but the shows were better. You know, I'll take the better programming versus the better technology. But yeah, putting rare baseball cards in our bicycle spoke a lot about. Yeah, they're rare now, right? What are some movies that I used to hate but now I love? I used to hate when I first saw it. I don't know about hate, but I didn't like It's a Wonderful Life. I expected this big Christmas movie, and I got some movie about some guy going bankrupt and losing money, and I'm like, what's Christmassy about that? And then I saw it a couple of times, and I decided, it's a good movie. I did start to like It's a Wonderful Life. I didn't hate it then. I don't love it now. I disliked it then. I like it now. That's the first one that comes to mind. You know, um, I'm trying to think. There must have been other movies. I don't know about hate and love, but whenever somebody asks me that question, I guess that's going to be the all-purpose movie answer that I'll give for that. Jeepers Creepers. I know all about the origins of the director. I think the director was a pedophile, which is inexcusable. But I shouldn't even mention that because here we go again with political correct bullshit. The thing is, I am against that, and I absolutely I want nothing to do with the guy for that. But the movie itself, I try to judge the movie, is what I'm trying to say. I saw the movie, I saw it in the theater. I don't really remember much about it except that it was interesting. It was an interesting concept. It was, Jeepers Creepers was interesting. But then later on, I found out about the, the sick guy's pedophilia, and that kind of like turned me off. But I still I wouldn't like not watch the movie. You know what I mean? Same as Rosemary's Baby. I still think Rosemary's Baby is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, horror film ever made. One of them. It achieves so much disturbance without showing anything, so much fear and panic, and other creepiness, and things are not really what they seem to be. Uh, but Roman Polanski, of course, had this thing with an underage girl. But like I said, I don't. While I don't condone that at all, I don't fault the movie. You know, he was still a good filmmaker. He made a very good film, almost perfect film. It's hard there's not many movies we can call perfect. I think Rosemary's Baby is one of the closest things to a perfect movie. I've never seen part two of Jeepers Creepers. I wouldn't be caught dead looking at Eminem. I hate Eminem. I think the guy's a creep. I think he thinks he's a tough guy or something. He thinks he's a wise, arrogant SOB. I have no interest in Eminem. Sorry. I mean, I don't know. I know people who said they like Eminem. I remember hearing some adults that liked Eminem. But from what I've seen of him with his baloney at certain award shows and stuff, saying he wants to punch somebody in the face, whatever he said, uh, I got no need for that creep. I tell you. Yeah, Phil Spector is a good example. We love Phil Spector's music, and we respect him as a producer, though we might not like him as a person. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, right, Eminem is a candy, not a star. Eminem is a candy, not a music artist. Never heard of that album, Jonathan. I don't know. I've never heard you here before. I don't think you've ever come here before, but I like older stuff, really, for the most part. Yeah, it's true. Genius types are often completely bonkers. Good morning to Mark P. What's up, Mark? Kid Rock, yeah. Took the day off today. Yeah, you did. I love this song, Mother by John Lennon. Very emotional song. Very, very gripping and disturbing and heartfelt, emotional song. Dr. Dog? Never heard of Dr. Dog. See, this is what it is with me. I got spoiled growing up with the Beatles and the Stones and Bob Dylan and Elvis Presley and Led Zeppelin. These are big innovators in music. So, besides the fact that I enjoy their music, they're people that are worth knowing, people that you're going to remember for all times, that are children and their children's children, their children's children, are going to remember. I mean, who's going to remember Everclear? Who's going to remember Dr. Dog? You see things like that. Now I know people. It doesn't mean they don't have good music. I mean, they might have really great music. I might enjoy it, you know. But I don't think anybody's gonna come back 50 years, 60 years from now and talk about it, and they're gonna be passed on as like classics, you know. So I mean, I have a problem with that, you know. Splinter, yeah, I know of the band Splinter. Yeah, George, well, from the George Harrison connection with Splinter. That's how I know it. Mark P says he enjoyed the show last night. Thank you. It was a lot of fun to do. He's talking about, you know, the show Talk More Talk, this solo Beatles video cast that we do. It's going to be, if you missed it, we talked about Ringo's 1978 TV special called Agner Rats. And it was a fun show to do. That's going to be up here on YouTube on the Talk More Talk channel. So please subscribe to Talk More Talk. And you know what? It hasn't appeared yet, by the way. But then sometime later this week, I imagine Kid O'Toole will upload it. Yeah, that's funny. Simon's Vinyl Dimension says, I always find it funny when people say, "Oh my God, listen to this band. They sound just like the Beatles." And he says, "Yeah, well, okay, I'll listen to the Beatles then." Yeah, like you know, if something sounds 60 influenced, I'll listen to the 60s stuff. I mean, you know, Greta Van Fleet, they sound just like Zeppelin. Well, I'll listen to Zeppelin. You know, I mean, I don't know. But like I say, I don't begrudge people that. I mean, that doesn't mean that there's not stuff that I enjoy. And I always bring up my artist, Elle King. Most people don't even know Elle King. Rob Schneider's daughter. I think she's fantastic. I bought her first two albums, and I think she's a real talent. I think she's a good singer. I think she's a good songwriter. I think she writes emotional songs about her pain, how she feels, and she's fantastic. I think. But again, I realize that I still enjoy it, and I'll buy her new album. I'll buy every album that comes out, but I don't think anybody's going to give a damn about her. Nobody even gives a damn about her now. You know, she's doing it now, and nobody cares. I mean, a lot of people don't even know that she had a new album out. I didn't even know. You know, I didn't even know when her second album came out. Somebody told me, you know, she's got a second album. You know, and I said, she does? When did that come out? He said, I think 2018. That she had an album in 2018. I didn't even know that. This was 2019. I found out about it. It just doesn't matter. You know, nobody matters. Nobody lasts. And some people may say, well, what difference does that make? As long as you enjoy the music, what do you care how big they are? And I said, well, it means something. It means that people love them and they're around and they're changing the world and they're affecting everyday life. And it's like part of part of the fabric of what the planet is. You know, has to do with their influence. I mean, I just don't see anybody else as being worth, you know, worth that much time invested. Simple as that. That doesn't mean there's not good music, you know, because there is good music. Yes, Record Rabbit, country artist that Ringo produced. Yeah. Okay, thank you for the information. Bad Trick. Oh, see, I didn't even. That's what I mean. I never heard of Everclear, and supposedly they were around in 1993. They've been around for 27 years. I never heard of them. How good could they be? You know, I mean, and why should I be interested? And I'm, you know, and again, I'm not trying. It comes across so insulting. I'm not trying to insult anybody. I know some stuff by AC/DC, but I don't know. And I've heard of Back in Black, but I don't know if it's a song or an album. Is that the album title or the song? I mean, yeah, I know. You know, I like a couple of songs by them. All right, Hell's Bells. You know, Dirty Deeds. You know, I'm a fan of Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. Again, I love Joan Jett. Nobody's going to think of her as changing the world either. But I like Joan Jett's version of Dirty Deeds better than AC/DC's. Okay, so it's a song and an album title. Yeah, I don't know it unless I hear the song. I don't think I know it by the title. I like Chrissy Hine. Yes, I do. Now it's interesting. There's a song. Well, there we go. Wait a minute. You asked me a question earlier, right? Was it you? Somebody asked me. What's? Oh no. Somebody said, "What's a movie you hated that you wound up loving?" Here's a song I hated that I wound up enjoying now. I don't love it, but I enjoy it now, and that's the song "Won't Get Fooled Again" by the Who. I just hated it back in the day. I don't know why. Just long and annoying, but I like it now. Won't get fooled again. Caveman, I like Caveman quite a bit. I mean, Caveman is just a stupid comedy, a nonsensical, silly comedy, and I like it for what it is. It's just a fun time. That's another thing we have to do a show on Caveman eventually too. I don't remember that band by name. Bubble Poppy. Yeah, the movie That'll Be the Day is a very good movie. In fact, just found out there's going to be a Blu-ray of it. I don't know if you're interested. A Blu-ray is going to be it's going to be re-released on Ringo's birthday. I think July 7th. But That'll Be the Day's come out on Blu-ray. I have a standard DVD of it. I don't think I would upgrade it. But I saw the movie once on the DVD. I did enjoy it. I thought Ringo was very good in it. I think it might be Ringo's best movie. I think it's That'll Be the Day is commonly thought of as Ringo's best movie. So I think it's worth seeing. It's a movie about the 50s, when Ringo's in it. Keith Moon is in it. So, yeah, it's worth seeing. Let me know what you think of it. If you hate it, let me know too. But I think it's really good performance. Yeah, it's funny. The Magic Christian. I've seen so many sequences from it, but I don't think I ever sat down just to watch the, the Magic Christian in its entirety. Yeah, I've never seen the sequel Stardust. I've not seen that. Yeah, I hear you, Record Rabbit. I hear you. How I Won the War. A lot of people bring that up. I've still never seen that in its entirety. I've watched just about all the scenes with John Lennon in it because I just, I'm interested in John. I don't like war movies as a rule, even though I think it's a comedy, really, more or less. But I need to see that movie all the way through. I need to see it all the way through for sure. Home Alone. I mean, Home Alone came out. I'm an older guy. I saw my ex-wife loved the Home Alone movie. At first, she was laughing her ass off at all the things that little kid did to the burglars or whatever. I really can't say. It's okay. I'm not a big fan. So Yeah, John's not the main character in How I Won the War. Richard Lester, imagine, yeah, imagine the Beatles as the Three Musketeers or the Four Musketeers. Yeah, Lord of the Rings. That was an idea for the Beatles. Yeah, yeah. And actually, there were four Musketeers. They could have made the Beatles the Four Musketeers. Exactly. Sorry, I got like belching from water. Cue the Wings. I don't remember Cue the Winged Serpent. I might have seen that once in my life. It's an old movie, but I don't remember it. And I've never seen this stuff, but I know about it. I've never seen It's Alive. I know it's about a baby, monster baby, but I never seen it. I know it's alive too, or it lives again, or something. Yeah, I've never understood that. Richard Lester's last film was the Paul McCartney Get Back concert film. And what gets me is I've never understood how a director has anything to do like with a concert film, like or you know, how is that like? How do you directorial touch on assembling concert footage? I don't understand. An episode of the Beatles playing the Monkees would have been good. Watching an episode of the Munsters TV show from the '60s, and there's an episode starring the Standells, and it would have been interesting if they could have got the Beatles for that. Could you imagine the Beatles on the Munsters in 1964 or five? Yeah, D.A. Pennybaker was good, sure, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, when it's a movie director, like when you say like Martin Scorsese does No Direction Home, or Martin Scorsese does Living in the Material World, like what's so flourishy about that? What makes you a good director for that? I don't understand that. Or Richard Lester does Paul's Get Back concert. I don't understand. Yeah, wouldn't it be just deciding which camera would show which segment of the concert? And I've never watched Paul's Get Back concert film. But from what I understand, it's just really fast snippets of all these things. It's a little too fast from what I remember people saying. But I've never seen that's sacrilege. It's available on home video. And because I'm something of a completist, I have to rectify that too. I have to get back film. The concert film. When I say get back now, we're thinking of the Let It Be project, but I'm talking about the Paul McCartney concert Get Back film. Thriller, the album Thriller by Michael Jackson's a good album. I own the album. Back when I was going to clubs, Thriller was a big hit. I was on the dance floor dancing to Beat It. I was on the dance floor dancing to Billie Jean and watching him do the moonwalk. So I like the album Thriller. And after that, I'm done with Michael Jackson. I go up to 1982. I go from the Jackson 5. I go from like 1970 Jackson 5, some solo Jackson in the early 70s, and then Off the Wall and Thriller, and then I'm out of there. Yeah, I hear you, Record Rabbit. That's interesting about Denny Lane. Wow, the Get Back DVD is 69 bucks, huh? I don't think I have it. I don't think I have it. I'm not sure, but I don't think I have it. Well, that's the thing too. When you say you've never heard Thriller, the album in its entirety, I may not have either. I mean, I know all the big hits from it, but did I ever play it in its entirety? I don't know. But some of those songs I never want to hear again. Like it just played out, played to death. I mean, uh, Billie Jean is played to death, but it was a big hit back in those days, and that song means something special to me because those were the days when I was up and having a couple of drinks, dancing with the girls. So when I hear all that stuff from like 80, 82, 3, 4, around there, it reminds me of those really great days. That's when I was at the peak. 83, I was at the peak of my club days, and I always refer to them. So those were good times. Now you can't go to clubs. You have to social distance. Feel sorry for other 20-year-olds. What do 20-year-olds do today? Yeah, the girl is mine. Yeah, I could do without that. At least you could say that Paul McCartney appears on an album that's considered one of the best-selling albums of all time, Thriller. So Paul's on there too. So there, you know. I never saw Gangs of New York. That's a newer movie. Um, I like older stuff, but I have seen some new movies. But for some reason I missed Gangs of New York. I agree. Say is much better. Say is really the only song I really like from that uh, collaboration with Michael Jackson. I don't like The Man. I don't really like The Girl Is Mine, although yeah, I could listen to it. But Say is pretty good. A pretty good pop song. Did I ever have long hair? You betcha. I've had long hair. When you say long hair, I'm not talking about long hair like, John Lennon long hair, like 69. But I've had hair down to the shoulder, like that, a little bit, kind of just long. Yeah, it's funny because you don't really see it on this channel much because I mean I have some earlier videos where my hair's a little longer, but as I get old, I discover it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier keeping it together that way. It's easy to control. You know what I mean? It's harder to control long hair. You know. So I think a lot of men do that. Even men that have hair, like me, good head of hair, and have all their hair. As you get older, you kind of find it's just easier to control it, keep it. But I know how long the longest my hair ever got. I have a photo of it in the other room, but it would be a good time to show it. But I could show you the longest hair my hair. Will have a photo of it, uh, but I should go get it. Never saw Undercover Brother. Sorry that we're not on the same page with things. Okay, let's go. Are we almost done? I don't know. Let's see. Thinking about signing off now. Let's see if any more comments or oh no. Okay. Um, History Channel. Don't know that song either, Jonathan. I'm sorry. I struck out with a lot of these. Anyway, thanks everybody for being here. I'm going to sign off now. Much appreciated. Please continue to watch my channel. And if you haven't subscribed to my other channel, Mayo's Movies, if you like movies, if you like TV shows, please go over there. It's Mayo's Movies all together as one word. You type it in the search bar and subscribe. And I'll be talking there about more about movies, whereas here I'm talking about mostly the Beatles and music stuff a lot. So thanks everybody. Be safe out there. Take care of you and yours. Later.